Mhm.
You're a Georgia resident, and voting day keeps getting closer. For months, you've studied the issues and researched each candidate. Now, you're ready to head to the polls and vote. The only question is how. First, you need to register to vote. You can fill out an online form, print a form and mail it to the Georgia Secretary of State, register when you renew your driver's license, or fill out a form at your local public library or school. Once you've registered, you'll get your precinct card in the mail. This lists your exact polling location. You can also find out where to vote and see a sample ballot by logging into My Voter page on the Secretary of State website. If you're not sure whether or not you're registered, use this website to check. Now you're ready for Election Day. All you need to bring with you to the polls is a valid photo ID, such as a driver's license or passport. Polls are typically open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you're not available during this time block, you can vote early or send in an absentee ballot. Request an absentee ballot with a form on the Secretary of State website. You can mail, fax, or email the form to your local county Board of Registrar's office. It's safest to send in your ballot at least a few days in advance to make sure it arrives by Election Day. In Georgia, you can vote early without giving a reason. Just contact your county voter registration office or visit the Secretary of State website for the early voting locations and times. And that's it. Pretty simple. Now ready, set, vote.
All right, we're back this Sunday again on our Black Media with the political spectrum. Dante, you just saw one of the things we do, is, and you know that you were a part of constructing what we do here, but is getting people knowledgeable and understanding not only how to vote, when to vote, and what that means.
Yes, it's very, very important. Not just during the presidential election cycle, but just being aware of judges, sheriffs, and all those local elections as well to stay informed of what's going on in your local communities.
Well, yeah, and you know what's interesting? A lot of people, like you said, will hop out for the presidential election, but not realize the more important ones are your local ones. In fact, down here in Chatham County, we're right in front of a county election for Chatham County chairman roles, as well as judgeships. In fact, we have a candidate for Chatham County Commission joining us later on. What about in Fulton?
Nice. Yes, actually, we do have a special election going on in Fulton County for a state judge. That election is May 21st, I believe. So a lot of people are talking about that race that's coming up.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think this all ties kind of pleasantly together because the district attorney for Fulton has been in the news this week, and we'll talk about that when our two guests join us. But to begin today, people wonder why Trump stays so important. So I want to play this next commercial that is kind of funny, because the thing I love about Trump is he continues to kind of find a way to reinvent himself or to be that guy. So let me see if I can add this, and we'll play this and then hop into the discussion. on that.
Donald Trump is launching a new business venture. He's getting into the sneaker game. Take a look. Well, he made the announcement at SneakerCon in Philadelphia. The line features three different pairs of tennis shoes, a pair of high tops, a pair of red laceless athletic shoes, and a pair of white laceless athletic shoes.
I've wanted to do this for a long time. I have some incredible people that work with me on things, and they came up with this. And this is something I've been talking about for 12 years, 13 years. And I think it's going to be a big success.
The website selling the sneakers also features a Victory 47 perfume and cologne for sale at $99 each.
All right. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, honestly, if it was pre-Donald Trump running for president, and when Donald Trump had his show The Apprentice, and this would have came out, I think a lot of people would have gone to purchase this. But now, since he is, he's president, he's someone who's always tweeting a lot of things that people just don't like. I don't think people would go and buy the shoe. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump is a businessman. I think this is a good move for him. I'm not surprised that he is doing it. Actually, I'm surprised he hasn't already done it, or at least thought about doing it. But he said he did.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good brand. I mean, he's always branding himself. I mean, that's what Donald Trump is known as. I think it's a good move for him.
That's his little humor, so people are gonna get mad. Somebody gonna get mad.
But then some people were there booing.
Hold on. What I'm saying is this: this is the Biden shoe. You gotta have a little humor in all of it.
But the shoe actually looks nice. I mean, it looks like the everyday shoe that people wear now. It's not a bad looking shoe.
I love it. I think my thing is, hey, he's always finding a way to be unique, and I think people like that. And so that's interesting. So that's my little tidbit for the week. What's up in our first 10? What you got for us?
Well, I want to go ahead and hit on the.
Well, we're gonna come back.
Actually, let's just go ahead and talk about the Republican presidential race. Okay. At this point, Nikki Haley should just go ahead and really get out. It's becoming a waste of a breath there at this point. There is no way she's going to defeat Donald Trump. The poll numbers are not looking in her favor. She's not going to win any states going forward. I mean, right now nationally, he's at 78% for the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. And she's at like 19-something%. The next few states where Michigan, Trump is in the 70s. Mm-hmm. Arkansas, Trump is over 50. South Carolina, he's over 50. Georgia, he's over 50. Nikki Haley is still in the teens. I mean, at this point, it's just a waste of breath there. She just really should save her political career and just bite it out and just run in 2028. But I think right now she has become a distraction. And if she doesn't get out, she's going to really turn off a lot of Republicans. That's going to hurt her political future.
Well, what bothers me with that is the fact that, I was watching MSNBC this week, and I kind of agree with this commentator that said, if you know that Trump is going to struggle with Biden, why put him in that conversation? If you know Nikki's going to do well with Biden, I just get lost in that whole conversation. It's like, why would you put someone that is a maybe when you got a full spade in your hand?
Well, I agree with that, but unfortunately, in the primary season, they don't want that spade. They'd rather go with the king of hearts or something. They don't want that. They don't want that guarantee. They want that maybe. I'm not sure why they would, but guess what? The Republican Party just don't want that guaranteed number. They don't want Nikki Haley. They want Donald Trump right now. And honestly, the more and more the media continues to talk about Donald Trump, allows Donald Trump to really focus in on his message that they just keep coming after me. I mean, after this lawsuit in New York City, which was ridiculous, that happened against Donald Trump yet again. I mean, Donald Trump really doesn't even have to campaign right now. All he really has to do is just, go to court and let CNN talk about him all day long. He doesn't really have to campaign at all. He can just show up to court, stand outside the courtroom, give his political speech, which they get mad at him for doing because he really can't do it because he's always in court. And they say he doesn't have to show up, but if he doesn't show up for court, then they would say, oh, well, Donald Trump think he's above the law because he's not showing up for court.
Right. So,
Right.
So it's kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't.
No, I get it. Oh, hold on, y'all. 1 second. I got the wrong video up. So we got Clinton hopping in with us here. How's it going, Clinton?
Pretty good.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of videos and visuals today, so that's a good thing. But we're gonna hop into our main topic, y'all. And as we hop into that, let's begin with this kind of commentary really quick. Did I add it correctly? I have not. Here we go. We're gonna get it going. Let's see what we got here.
Annie, as the defense attorney, you just watched all of it play out. How do you gauge today's testimony? Wade and Willis. Was Wade damaged? Was Willis strong? How do you think this plays out?
Look, I want to be clear here, which is something Fani Willis said several times, but from a technical standpoint, I don't think Willis was a particularly good witness if you measure her against witnesses who testify thousands of times a day. I think Judge McAfee gave her a little leeway because she is the Fulton County District Attorney. He showed her respect, but do I think she was effective? She may have been very effective, but it all comes down to this, in my view. It is a binary question. Does Judge McAfee believe that her explanation about paying cash, repaying cash to Nathan Wade is credible? And that's it, because Fani Willis was consistent with Nathan Wade's testimony that she repaid him for vacations with cash. The second question is that a credible story? Just because she's consistent doesn't necessarily mean it's credible, because a lot of folks are saying, hey, a lot of folks keep large amounts of cash in their home. That's fine. The issue is this particular way of paying Nathan Wade in cash happens to serve her interest, and it happens to thwart the defense's motion. So that is a factor to keep in mind. It's not just keeping cash and paying with cash. There's nothing wrong with that. People do it all the time. It's whether or not it's credible that it just so happened that she paid Nathan Wade back for all these vacations, which were apparently very expensive, in cash, because that happens to benefit the state's argument that Fani Willis never received any of the money back from Nathan Wade that was paid to Nathan Wade by the state. But ultimately, she may end up having been credible enough to save the day. I think the defense has a pretty high burden to meet, and I'm not really sure which way Judge McAfee is going to go.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated.
All right. What are y'all thinking?
Number one, they're missing some big pictures there that were not included in the story. This started out as a possible ethics violation, and when she testified, it then became a situation of possible perjury. Okay, her having a relationship is irrelevant. Okay, I don't care. But when you understand and you tell a falsehood about the details of the relationship, like when it began, when it ended, that's a big deal, especially when it's not months but years. That's one problem. The second problem is what they keep going back and forth with about, who paid for dates or vacations. They're trying to make the connection of financial impropriety. Not embezzlement or fraud, but conflict of interest. If they were moving the money back and forth a certain way, they can claim it's a conflict of interest and being unbiased and selecting the prosecution strictly based on his quality, technique, and capability to prosecute Donald Trump. They can claim that the conflict of interest was because they were carrying on so long and because the money was being reimbursed and had undue influence where she didn't pick a better candidate to prosecute him. So the angle I think that they're trying to go for, conflict of interest and perjury. Now, if she had simply not testified, they could have never gotten her on perjury. Okay, the conflict of interest with the whole cash reimbursement of restaurants and hotels, well, that's still fanning out. They're still trying to prove that. But I think the worst thing she did was testify herself, because there are inconsistencies in the time dates, not by months, by years. That she didn't just do verbally, but she signed off on in documentation. So I think their angle is perjury, conflict of interest. What's your opinion?
Can I take it?
Well, I definitely think Fani Willis should not have taken the stand. I'm not sure who advised her to do that. It appears that it was herself who advised herself to walk into that courtroom. It really depends on what side of the political spectrum, how you really saw her. If you saw her either she went in there being belligerent, or you saw her as going in there, ready to defend herself and her credibility. Doesn't really matter what side of the coin, but you have to go back to what Clinton said about some facts. And one would have to ask themselves, she stood in a church and said that she paid all three attorneys the same. That is not true. She did not. She paid one 90,000, she paid one 73,000, and then she paid another one, Nathan Wade, 600 and we'll just say 600,000 something dollars. Those are completely different. And this man has no experience in prosecuting a RICO case.
Well,
Now, I will say the defense has not proven anything to say that there's a conflict of interest. However, by some of her own testimonies that she has said, it does still raise a lot of questions. You can't tell me come on, common sense. I know people carry around cash, but all of your transactions to this one individual is only cash. I can understand some transactions, but all of your transactions to this one man is cash. Anybody who believes that, you can just believe any stupid shit, to be honest with you. Excuse my language, but you can.
I think,
That statement is unbelievable. I'm sorry. I do feel like ultimately the judge is probably going to be fair and rule in the middle. I don't think he's going to remove Willis, but I do think Wade, honestly, he's already committed some perjury.
Yeah.
I mean, he really has. He did not help himself either. But I think the judge is probably going to be neutral and at least move Wade. At the end of the day, this does nothing to the election interference case. It does cause a big distraction, but in the future of local politics, it's definitely going to hurt Fani Willis, and it's going to make her an easy target for the next local Democratic person who wants to run against her.
I do think they'll hurt the case all the ever, and here's why. They'll postpone it. If it postpones the case, then Donald Trump can still run for political office. So it will, I think it will at least postpone it. And well, that's a crapshoot after that.
Yeah. I will say this on the other side of that coin. The entertainment value was absolutely amazing.
It was.
I must say, Fani held her on, but you all brought up a very important piece that she did this off of emotion, which honestly, that gave us the entertainment value. I'm all here for that. But when you do things off of emotion, you do trip yourself up because she gave the one thing I enjoyed about it. She gave you the black sister girl. I'm gonna show you who I am, but also she gave you the professionalism. But when you walk in that space of anger and I'm about to prove myself, you can't trip yourself up. Case in point, I think some things you just don't need to say out loud. Like, my daddy taught me this, or I keep cash at the house. Like you said, Dante, that kind of throws me off a little bit. Like, I get it. But a lot of people don't do that. But then you also, part of that conversation will detach you from people who may have supported you, but not okay. So you think you this and that and the third. So we know how people can be. But Clinton also, agree with what you said. I think it's going to create a major issue for her. Fani, before all of this, Fani had some real strong, credible.
Yep.
I mean, she was that girl. And I still support her because my whole thing is, I'm real liberal on stuff like this because my thing is I don't care what y'all did and who you slept with and who I don't care about all that. But like you said, if you paying somebody $600, if you leave yourself up for discretion and you can't justify it, you're gonna have some problems.
Well, I don't support her anymore, and here's why. She's intelligent enough to know to hire someone to prosecute that has more experience than what might be her boyfriend. Now,
Mhm.
I'm not saying that he didn't do it, but he didn't have the track record. Now, I know she tried to recruit other attorneys and
Mhm.
successful, but she should have kept on looking.
Mhm.
Because even if they never got involved, he just started in that type of law. He was in a different type of law before that. He didn't have the teeth to drive it home. And if you're really serious about nailing a high profile person, such as an ex president, you want someone who has not only the ability, but a long range track record of experience.
Mhm.
This
I
man
def-
did not have it.
Yeah, and Bobby, just to go off what you said, it was
Yeah.
great entertainment value. I mean, I was glued to it the entire
Yeah.
day. She did let her emotions get the best of her. Honestly, my opinion about her in this entire case, she didn't help herself. But on a personal level, I kind of do feel sorry for her because I don't think that was a proper place to do any ethical tribunal type of setting. I think that should have been more behind closed doors to ask her some personal questions because this was on live TV. And I mean, we're asking people about, even though they did not directly say it. I mean, Fani Willis even had to come out and say it sometimes. So let's just get to it. I mean, they're asking them indirectly, where did y'all have sex? Where did y'all meet? I mean, I mean,
I live for all that now. I did like
I
that.
mean, that's where some of these questions were going when they were asking, what house did you go to and all. That's where they were going at. And I think this was not the proper place to do it on a personal level. But at the end of the day, Fani set herself up for this.
Yeah.
I mean, also the attorney who brought the motion to bring all of this out, the client who she represents, he worked on the Trump campaign, and his job on the Trump campaign was opposition research. Funny how his attorney is able to go find some dirt on Fani Willis, but there you have it.
Yeah, but Fani Willis knew that whenever you do any high profile case, they're going to send headhunters to get up stuff on you. She has to know that. Okay.
Clearly, she did.
I mean, come on. She's smart.
I don't think she did.
I don't think she's that naive. I'm sorry.
I
I think she's more intelligent now. I think
I think she is naive. And the reason why I think she is naive, again, let's go over these prices. She paid one attorney $73,000. She paid another attorney $90,000. She paid Nathan Wade $653,000. I mean, she didn't even go like $120,000.
Well,
She went extra super high on him. I mean, that she just kind of slam dunked it with that price.
well, here's the thing. When you're going into, and I'm looking at it as a
And it's gonna be hard.
well,
She's gonna have to explain that. I mean, those
I'm
are
about to
questions they
explain
should
it for
have
you.
asked.
If I'm about to hire you to go do an investigation and to be a special prosecutor on a former president, that's going to take you at least a year or more. You're going to have supplies. You're going to have to hire subcontractors. So there are things about that. I think she should line item, but I do believe that there are going to be a number of costs and fees and things that that's going to be a part of it. I mean, if you think about what you're doing, you're about to go, for one, you're putting your practice on hold. For two, you're about to take at least a year to do an investigation on someone. That's going to be pricey.
No, Bobby. No, Bobby. We're not disagreeing with how you outlined it. We're
Yeah.
just saying he does not have the experience for this. He's never done anything like this before.
Right.
For him to even get that high number value. Now, I think if you hired somebody who had somewhat of experience or even a few years of experience, I can understand that, can explain that number. But this man has zero experience doing everything you just outlined. So she really needs to answer, why did he get paid that high amount number? And she also stood up in church and said that all her attorneys are paid the same. Well, that we know that's a lie. So I wonder what else they have kind of purged themselves to.
I have to interject on that. That's verbal. The perjury they're trying to nail her on is on paper. The dates that she signed on, the salary she signed on paper, don't coincide with what she said verbally. So they're going by documentation in order, for the perjury.
Right. Yeah. So y'all hold tight real quick. Let me add her to the stage. And while I'm adding her to the stage, I want to do an intro of our guest. We're going to come back to Fani Wilson, but I have a surprise, Clinton, that you may not know about, and we're going to start here. And the reason I want to start here, you all, is because we know that this lady who just ran for Savannah mayor, whether you support her or not, that the news does not do a good job of sharing who this person is. But Alderwoman Keisha Gibson Carter, this clip I want to play demonstrates just some of the work she does. I just think that when it comes to how media and news gets out is not always fair. But let's start with this clip, and then we'll kind of jump into that, and we'll come back to Fani, you all.
William Zach Harvey, a citizen of Savannah. Today, we stand before you as older women of the city of Savannah, declaring that we will uphold the highest standard of our elected offices to assure Miss Shirley Francis that questions she has related to his death will be answered. As older women of the city of Savannah, we would like the standard operating procedures of our offices here at the Savannah Metropolitan Police Department to be extended and offered to us as sitting older persons. In addition, we expect a full, transparent process where this matter is concerned.
All right, and so we are joined by Keisha Gibson Carter. What I hope, Alderwoman Carter, Alderwoman Carter, is that when it comes to the county commission chairman election and campaigning, there's a fair process, because as we saw with Mayor, it wasn't. But welcome and thank you for joining us. Dante, hop back on. That's my co-host, Dante. I think he's scared. He's in Atlanta. Mr. Dante, you want to join us?
Hey, sorry about that. Hey, how are you doing?
Welcome. And we have Keisha Gibson Carter here. I want her to share with us today. She's running for Clinton, the chairwomanship for Chatham County.
Hello, Chatham County. Hello, Dr. Bryant, and to your esteemed panel there. It's so good to see you guys.
Same here.
Hello, how are you?
Good, Mr. Clinton, my dear friend. It's been a while.
Yeah. And so as we begin, Keisha, we have Dante, who is from Savannah. He affiliates with more of the Republican Party. Myself, I'm more affiliated with the Democratic Party, and Clinton is affiliated with the Libertarian Party. So this is a great conversation to have. But Dante is from Savannah. She's running for the chairmanship for Chatham County. Definitely, you and Clinton jump in, and I'll jump in where I can. But we definitely want to kind of get some feedback from her on the why, the what have you. But let's begin here, and I'll turn it over to Dante. But what are your thoughts on the previous election, and what kind of drove you to this decision?
Well, since the past election, I have been dedicated to my family, who I basically sort of was not present over the last 4 years in ways that I wanted to be. So I had the opportunity to superimpose myself and try to make up for the last 4 years. So in conjunction with that, I have been busy traveling, and that's why you see my vacation here. Traveling, and I have 2 children who are matriculating out of the city. And so it's given me some time to invest in them. And I have a high schooler, and this is she's going into her senior year. So we were just excited to be able to plug in for whatever that was worth. And so what I want to say to everyone, and I haven't had the opportunity to speak, I've just been answering questions as they've come to me. And I want to acknowledge the text messages and the phone calls and the Facebook posts of everyone who were dedicated to the KGC for Savannah campaign. And I just want you to know again how much I appreciate you. But my candidacy, my arrival into local government was never about me. It was about an assignment and about the people who I felt could use and benefit from my advocacy and activism and experience throughout the years here in Savannah, helping vulnerable populations. And so, with that, I just want to say that the past election of 2023 was the same as it was in 2019. The feeling I had when I won Alderwoman at Large for Post 1 was the exact same when the results did not yield a victory for us. That I recognized that it was never about me. I have always gone about in my role as Alderwoman at Large from a spirit of humility, authenticity, and true servitude. So it was easy for me to recognize that despite all of the money that was raised, I was feeling really good about myself. It took over $1 million. It took a machine to defeat us, but I am not convinced that it was a fair defeat, as many of you know. And that's the advice I have to candidates who are running now. Clinton, you guys who are in the race, and as I am pondering this next course, you have to keep your eyes on the early votes and the absentee ballots and that elections board, particularly one member that me and Mr. Brian know for certain. And so when you see the dynamics at play where there's not a fair fight locally, you have to ask the question, what can happen statewide? What can happen for our bigger election, like the presidency? So for those who are signing up for a sincere, authentic race, just know that the politics in Savannah, elections in Savannah is not created equally and equitably to other communities. We need to make certain that we are holding those individuals who are in position accountable. Candidates are going to have to spend money in the same places that the establishment invest their dollars. And when you see the same names recycling through donor dollars on the election sheets of these candidates, you see who owns Savannah. And that 2023 election essentially showed that Savannah is indeed for sale. You can buy anything. You can buy and pay people who work within assisted living facilities to make certain that those ballots are for certain candidates. You can pay people to encourage early votes and to make sure that those early votes are for specific candidates. You can pay people to purchase or lease buses and transportation to get mass numbers of people to the boxes, understanding that those votes are going to be for certain people. So that's what I want to say to people. Nonetheless, we're here, and we see that those behaviors are not unlike the behaviors that happen at every single level in our local government. From purchasing, from financing, to community service, to county and city resources. We see the deficiencies. We see the unfairness, the fairness actions. We see the unequitable treatment. So, we have to recognize as Savannians and Chatham Countyans who we want to be. Unfortunately, in the past elections, we did see that big money prevail. But we also see that it was not counterbalanced with voter turnout. And so the jury is even still out on how many people actually voted. We really don't know, right? We really can't trust that process. And so where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? I'm an advocate. I'm an activist. I sign up to speak out for people who do not have a voice. That's what I do. We need people who are at the grassroots levels working these elections, keeping their eye on elections boards. We need them to step up and take a louder place in these spaces if we ever want to see anything change. We said, Mr. Bryant, in the 2023 election, if people and positions did not change, the Savannah as we know her will not be the same in 2 to 3 years. And we are already seeing that within the first couple of months, the first quarter. We were already seeing and feeling the results of what that election did not mean. Right now, you have Woodville community residents planning to mobilize and go to City Hall to raise sand over what they were raising sand over in 2023 during the election season. But when I was saying it out loud, it was like, so you have Carver Village under threat, Liberty City under threat. It's the same. If you always do what you always do, you're going to always get what you always get. And the fact of the matter is, I signed up to advocate for something that I do not need. I don't need what I'm fighting for, but what I do need is for the people I'm fighting for to have a better quality of life, but ultimately to have their rightful share. For too long in Savannah County, the takers have had it all. And we're simply saying that we have to now make sure that everybody has an opportunity to live a life where they can call the Savannah they know as home, because our Savannians are being forced out of the city.
Yep.
All right, Dante, we'll open up to you for, I guess, a question, comment, or feedback or whatever.
What was some of your most enjoyable experience in the campaign?
Well, I have to tell you, I do not like campaigning. I do not. It's exhausting. It exists exhausting. There's very little opportunity to be truly authentic and genuine. The greatest part about what I did as Alderwoman at Large is serving in a way in which I could problem solve. When you're campaigning, you're simply making introductions, listening to what their needs are, what their thoughts are, recognizing that the reason I'm in office, why I was elected in 2019, was consistent with this past election. In 2019, the electorate sent a resounding indictment to the council, wherein almost everyone was voted off of the council and a fresh crop of people came in. And under that mandate, it was an understanding that they wanted more, they wanted better. And so it was a little bit awkward to now be in position to still be hearing, after 4 years on the campaign trail, after 4 years, hearing the very same thing that they wanted. And it was discouraging in some degree, because essentially that's why I was supposed to be there. But due to maneuvering with our rules of council, we were not able to effectively make policy change, because that's really where the real differences are made. Difference isn't made with rhetoric. It's not made with sound bites. It's not made with press releases, press conferences, and Facebook Lives. That's not where the difference is made. The difference is made when you effectuate policy change, when you're able to implement, introduce, and pass policy that's opposite from where we currently are, to move the needle forward. And the past administration did very little by way of policy initiatives. In fact, outside of an energy policy, out the top of my head, Clinton, you followed us fairly closely. I can't think of any true policies that really move the needle economically for people, or where crime and safety was concerned. A lot of the policy shifts and changes that we saw with the last council essentially were ceremonic and symbolic. Like the changing of the square, I appreciate the advocacy and the work that I did to assist that group. But again, that's symbolism, that's advocacy for ceremonic functions. We want to make sure that the changes that we are making are affecting people's pocketbooks, right? We want to make sure that the changes we're making are keeping us safe from bullets. We want to make sure that the policies and the changes that we are making are helping people stay in their homes and in their community. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I like serving better than I do campaigning.
That
But
makes
I
sense.
can't.
That
I was
makes sense.
saying I appreciated meeting the people on the campaign trail.
Yeah.
I think
So-
the biggest hindrance to all the candidates was
Yeah.
misinformation because the press acted like nothing but a propaganda machine.
That's it. That's
They
it.
did not want to know the truth. And I challenge the press. Not only legacy media, newspaper outlets, etc., but on the internet as well.
Well,
Be critical in your thinking. Do some investigation. You know, leave your computer for once in a while, knock on a door, and question someone in person. Go through public records rather than depending on the internet. You'll find that a lot of documentation isn't what it's supposed to be.
well, here's the thing, and I got a question for you when I say this. They do investigate the people they don't like. They don't. Hold on. They do not investigate the people they don't like. It's just like a neighborhood I know very closely here in Savannah. If you're their favorites, we'll let things fly. We don't want to go by the bylaws. But if you're one of our favorites, we'll let you slide. It's why one of the reasons, and I can't say the individual's name, that I asked you to closely go look at one of your board of election members. Where do they live? Where do they vote? They didn't even want to investigate that, but stay tuned. But we do know, Keisha, that there is in the Savannah Morning News, great segue, Clinton, the median Savannah rent increased to an average of $1,400 a month in Savannah, right? Yep. Okay, so we know that. Savannah is a municipality within Chatham County. And so with that, since the city of Savannah is in the pockets of developers, how can the county help alleviate some of that pressure?
Well, the players are the same. The players are the same, right? And the same fixes that we can incorporate in our municipality are the same fixes that we can incorporate in our greater Chatham County area. Now, we know that there are instances and occurrences where by way of state regulations and restrictions, we cannot do much, very much by way of rent control. But what we can do is we can backdoor our way into controlling some of these occurrences when the very developers need something from Chatham County or they need something from the city of Savannah. And I was advocating and lobbying for this type of change at the city level, wherein when a petitioner, as in a developer, comes before council or comes before the commission, and if you need a variance, if you need if you need anything that causes you to be on our agenda, that in my mind provides an opportunity for negotiation. And why not use that opportunity? Why not use your leverage and your power? If politicians, both sitting, past, and current, if you can use your power, your influence to encourage a developer, a local owner, or whomever to give you the maximum campaign contribution to host a campaign party for you, why can't we use that same influence, that same power, that same authority to benefit the citizens that we serve? So there are a litany of ways in which we can tackle this issue where we are helping to preserve citizens of Chatham County as well as the city of Savannah and helping them maintain residents or be able to afford the cost of living, to be able to afford housing within our area. Now, where the media is concerned, the problem that I find with that more, Clinton, is that we have the media now almost as if they are advertising what it costs to live here, as if it's something that people would be attracted to. But who are you trying to attract? If you're going to report on it, why not report in a manner in which you're giving warning, where you're providing caution for people so that you are creating awareness among citizens, among residents, so that they now can be empowered to hold these individuals accountable. Instead, what they would rather do, as you suggested, Mr. Bryant, they would rather cast aspersion or pass unfair judgment on individuals who are advocating, who are sounding the alarm, make you look bad so that they provide a buffer and a distraction for the behaviors to persist and continue. And so what we here find in Savannah, in our region, is that the media is just a machine that serves as a PR firm for the establishment. They own the establishment. There's only a handful of makers and shakers in this community. There's about 4 or 5 men who make all of the decisions. Politicians, you know, we can talk all day long about the mayor, the commissioner, the council members, but they are not really the decision makers. It's the people who they allow to pull their strings. It's the people who they allow to buy them out. Those are the individuals who are making the decisions. And so those individuals, those 4 to 5 men, they have already created a blueprint for what Savannah Chatham is going to look like. So regardless of who is in office, if that person is not able to stick to the agenda of the people, if they are easily pliable, they can easily be picked off. And then you have those individuals who now allow themselves to be used as media mouthpieces for the establishment as well. The media is just as culpable in any deficiencies or disruptions we face in our community as the politicians, because it's the media who mask what really is happening in our communities. When you literally fail to report accurately, you thereby are culpable. When you are complicit, you are culpable for all of the activity that we see in our community. And we're in trouble where media is concerned in our community.
We need a real reformation.
Mm-hmm.
All the media, they are no longer concerned with exposing the secrets and delivering the truth. Like you said, they're just as culpable and they should be held accountable. I think a lot of the investigation should be into the media, the reporters themselves, and the producers. They're in line with them to promote the agenda of the people who are pulling the strings of those who sold their soul.
Yep, that's it. And so right now, where the elections are concerned, as opposed to reporters and media outfits, not as opposed to them focusing on the candidates and their platforms and match that with what the issues look like here in Chatham County, that's not happening. You know, what we know, the 3 of us, the 4 of us sitting here tonight, all have a story about the deficiencies of 911. We can all tell a story about how people call 911 and there's no answer or no one ever shows up. We can all talk about right now how disturbed county residents are with the fire fee. We can all talk about right now, we know someone who has been impacted by the increased property taxes. We now recognize the county's ability to have, before now, one commissioner, not the chairman, no one on that commission has raised any concern about where we are with crime in our community. Yes, the majority of the crime is happening in the city of Savannah, but guess where the city of Savannah is? We reside within Chatham County. You know, there was a huge money grab through the loss negotiation, local option sales tax, a huge money grab, right? Coupled with major federal payouts and subsidies by the federal government via ARPA and CARES Act dollars. Between Chatham County government, the city of Savannah, and the Board of Education, we received nearly in excess of $300 million to this county.
And where did that money go?
We can, as professionals in this field, right? We can sit here and have an intellectual conversation about where the money went based on where they said it went, right? We can read off where they said it went. But for me, Clinton, it's where do Chatham Countyans think the money went? Where do Savannahans think the money went? So when we make decisions, we want to make those decisions in a way in which people can feel the change. You can see, oh, there's that enhancement to the park. Oh, here's that multi-sports complex. Oh, here's where our seniors who are tweedling on making it and not making it. Here's where they're living now. Oh, here's the influx in police presence in this area.
Here's the drainage system redone. Here's
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That won't ever happen. We've been hearing about that how many years now? Yeah.
And
Wait,
also,
go ahead and just next time it floods, just get you a boat. That's the best thing.
we also want to acknowledge the invasion of industry to county residents. That's huge right now, and we saw a lot of that. Clinton, I think you were in chambers a number of times when we had county residents come in and advocating to preserve their residential status and not have their neighbors be industry or warehouses, if you will. So those are just a few of the things. So if nothing else, I would hope that my arrival or my intent would be consistent with what it was when I declared my candidacy for mayor. I think within that short period of time, things during the campaign, and I guess I could answer your question in this way when you asked me, what did I like about campaigning? The thing I like about campaigning is that you have an opportunity to raise the bar. I have an opportunity to raise the bar to say, okay, here's what's wrong. If I shouldn't be in this race, if I'm not a viable candidate, fix 911, right? If I'm not a viable candidate, share something about relief of property taxes. Take away or reduce that fire fee for county residents. Do something about industry that's invading residential areas in Chatham County. If I'm not a viable candidate and if I'm not worth my weight, force me out, away. Create a multi-sports complex that we so desperately need here in Chatham County. So, and I'll bow out gracefully.
Well, and before you go, what really concerns me about the current chairman of Chatham County is that individual is the county chairman, if I'm correct, the president of a neighborhood association, the pastor of a full pastor of a church. I don't see how you can do that effectively. And honestly, and I'm not, if you're mad, you get mad. I've learned I don't care who gets mad at me anymore. You don't pay my bill. So, hey, but my question is to the chairman and to you all on this panel. I don't think you can do all of that effectively. In fact, Clinton, you live here in Chatham County. I haven't seen anything for Chatham County since,
forever.
But
to
that point, Mr. Bryant, it's what we allow.
That's it. Yeah.
We allow as citizens. And I think before people wake up, it's probably going to be too late. If we continue to allow the fact that our association with someone because we went to school together, they played the piano at my mama's church, or they were my daddy's principal, or they're in the same fraternity. If we align ourselves by way of friendship, relationship, and kinship without regard to harmony in our community, we do ourselves a disservice as well as a broad community. It's obvious. Just look right now. When we look at the first district, you have Cloverdale and Carver Village. Two
where does she live?
The most powerful men live in the first district. The first district is the most impoverished district of all districts at every level where it comes to economics as well as crime. The first district is where the mayor lives in Cloverdale and the chairman lives in Carver Village. If these two men have the power of the pen, with one stroke, they can direct any resource to Carver Village. With one stroke, they can direct any resource to the city of Savannah. Again, if you are utilizing these county and city resources for your own personal good, we're simply asking that you use that same influence, use that same power to now make it good for the people. Don't be selfish. When you look at the fact that you have sitting politicians who have shell companies whereby they own almost as much real estate that exists within that area, and continuing to garner. And you look at the people who are attached to them, they're making sure that their friends and their family members are winning, and that's okay if that's how they want to go about. We're just simply saying, share the wealth with the people who ordinarily would not be able to compete at that table, or who ordinarily would not be able to get an invitation to that table. So if we always do what we always do, we're going to always get what we always have. And so if people don't realize that if you can't hold those two giants accountable, and it's only okay for you to have a photo op and share Facebook posts, and if chasing clout and having clout is all that people want, it's a sad commentary for us today.
Well,
but we're just here as a humble servant.
All right. Well,
identity politics. We're more about virtue signaling. We're more about voting for people that we think we know, and we don't really pay attention to the policy that they propose.
Mhm.
Not to mention, sometimes what's even worse, they propose one set of policy in the platform, and when they're elected, they institute the exact opposite. And when they only enrich themselves and no one else, eventually that's going to trickle down. You were elected, yes, to help yourself, but to help all your neighbors. And all the people in Savannah are your neighbors. And by enriching your city, in the long run, you're enriching yourself. You're only shooting yourself in the foot if you only focus on who's in the mirror. That's it.
And thank you for joining us, Keisha. But Clinton, it's funny you mentioned that Bible verse, love that neighbor. But in this city and across the nation, we only use the Bible verses when it worked for us. But I'm not
Right.
That's all right. All right. So we're going to close on out. What are y'all we was talking about Fani Willis. So Dante, Clinton, tell us your final thoughts on the Fani case.
I mean, again, I think it's going to come. The judge is just going to remove, if anything, Wade. I think Willis will stay on. Honestly, I think the election interference case, the overall case, is not going to go far. Even if Willis do stay on, it's going to get overthrown anyway. But that's my opinion on it.
I think the case, I don't know if it's going to be overthrown, but I do think it's going to be postponed. I do think Ms. Willis's reputation will be intensely damaged, and I think Wayne will be escorted off the case, period.
Hey, just made me $500,000. I would
just escort.
$500,000 of free cruise and his money back. You can't beat that. You got a payday. All right, y'all. We'll see you we'll be back next Sunday at 6. Thank you for joining us, Keisha. We'll have you back on.
Thank you.
I know my good Republican friend has more questions. We'll have you back.
Yeah.
Y'all take care.